Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And this one, I think, is particularly salutary. It's one that we really need to take into account. It's this. Martha Argerich and Riccardo Chailly in Rachmaninoff's Third Piano Concerto. Actually, this coupling is interesting. This is the original coupling on CD with the Tchaikovsky First Piano Concerto under Kirill Kondrashin with Bavarian Radio. What is it? Yes, Bavarian Radio. And the RSO Berlin is the Rachmaninoff with Chailly. They show you the vagaries of total spontaneity, because the Tchaikovsky is exciting as hell, but it's kind of a mess. I mean, there are the cadenza and the finale just before the big tune comes in at the end. It like almost goes completely off the rails. But, it's exciting. Argerich did just as exciting, but better, more accurate Tchaikovsky with a Bado in the Berlin Philharmonic. So, we can sort of set that one aside. Although some people love it for its very wildness. And okay, that's how you feel. I like wildness and accuracy combined. You don't need to sacrifice them. And you don't in this recording of the Third Piano Concerto of Rachmaninoff. This is just insanely exciting. For my money, there are two really great Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concertos out there. There's this one. There are others, of course, but the ones I listen to. And the Zoltán Kocsis Edo Devart, which is as close as you can get to Rachmaninoff's own performance, only in great sound. But, these days, the Rachmaninoff Third Concerto has become a competition piece, and everybody plays it. And these young hotshot pianists get their fingers on it. And then we see, all these people having an orgasm as if they've never heard the work before. They talk about how brilliant and fabulous, Yunshan Lim's recording is, or so and so, and they're not. They're mediocre performances made under less than ideal circumstances. And I really think it's important that people who, love the work and who love Rachmaninoff and who, love great piano playing, keep this in their back pocket so that when the next flash in the pan, pianistic competition winner comes out and does Rachmaninoff's Third Concerto, you just pull this out and go, listen to this. Because this is what spontaneity is. This is what great piano playing is, with also a great conductor, a great accompanist. Because there's no way to predict, listening to this performance, what Argerich is going to do and at what speed. And somehow she and Chailly are totally together, totally simpatico, because it is a concerto. It's not just a vehicle for pianistic virtuosity. It's a work that combines the piano and the orchestra, and they have to get along together, and they both have to be terrific, and they are here. The sonics aren't 100% perfect. It's a live recording from 1985, but it's still so head and shoulders above your typical composition winner's Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concerto performance. And, when you think about it, it's an extremely difficult and tricky piece. Rachmaninoff said it was. Remember when he was rehearsing the concerto with Mahler? Oh, boy, is that a concert I wish I could have attended, with the New York Philharmonic. And Mahler, the time for the rehearsal was over. And Rachmaninoff wrote this report about how great it was rehearsing with Mahler. And Mahler said to the orchestra, even though the rehearsal time was over, now we're going to repeat the first movement, which is an 18-minute long movement. And the orchestra just buckled down and did it even better. And Rachmaninoff said, he said, I thought there would be a rebellion because, there's a lot of tricky stuff for piano and orchestra in that first movement. And, you don't hear it. It doesn't sound that way. It's mostly lyrical, aside from the big cadenza. It doesn't have huge eruptive climaxes in it, but it's a question of balance. And even though this performance is insane, It has balance as well as the insanity, which is necessary. Moments when the orchestra comes forward and the piano has to take a back seat. There has to be, as always, no matter how virtuosic and how crazy it gets, there has to be a guiding intelligence behind it. And you don't get that in most performances these days. You don't get that at competitions for sure, because there just isn't time. There isn't time for the soloist and the conductor and the orchestra to work together, assuming you have a good conductor, assuming you have a good orchestra, which very seldom is the case. You have usually a tired conductor, a tired orchestra, and a couple exhausted soloists who may rise to the occasion and smash their way through the piece. But there is so much more to it than that. And this is the performance that I think really reminds us that there is such a thing as pianistic genius, there is interpretive genius, there is compositional genius, and great performances realize those things in a wholly personal and fresh and exciting and devastatingly effective way. And I always come back to this performance, after I've heard the latest thing, and it it clears your ears out. You listen to this and you go, oh, so that's what greatness is about. Yeah, that's what great artists do. I highly recommend that anybody who has, fallen in love with this work, or fallen in love with a new pianist playing this work, a young pianist, fresh, bright-eyed, virtuoso technician, listen to this. Listen to this and be educated. And then possibly we can have a conversation. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.